Welcome to the Daily Devotional Podcast with author, pastor, and speaker Zach Maldonado, a podcast about helping you know and enjoy Christ each day.
The record of your sins have been canceled. God is not holding your sins against you. God remembers your sins no more. He has separated your sins as far as the east is from the west. Yeah, I was just quoting Hebrews 8, Colossians 2, the book of Psalms, and many other passages. And I remember growing up in the 5th grade, I had my first male teacher, and I don't know what it was about him, but we clashed heads. And I don't know about you, but in 5th grade, we had this board where if we did something wrong, we would move over our dot. Well, literally, I had to move over my dot so much that my teacher had to create another board just for me to keep moving my dot. And I remember he had enough of me one day. He was fed up, and he said, "Zach, that's going on your record." My record? Like, what does that mean? Am I going to be able to graduate 5th grade? Am I going to have to work at McDonald's the rest of my life? And no offense if you work at McDonald's, but I just thought that was the worst job at the time. I didn't know any better. I love McDonald's breakfast, okay? So don't judge me. But he said, that's going to go on your record. And so he would hold that record over my head the rest of the year. Anytime I did something wrong, he'd say, that's going on your record. That's going on your record. That's going on your record. And you know what's crazy is I'm 27 now, and I have never seen that record. I've never seen it. And, you know, Colossians tells us, Colossians 2 says that God has canceled the record. He's canceled the record. Do you realize that? He said, with him having forgiven us all our trespasses. How did he do it? By canceling the record of debt that stood against us. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross. Religion says more work needs to be done. The gospel says it's finished. God nailed your sins to the cross. He didn't say more work needs to be done. He said it is finished. God is not holding a record of your wrongs over your head. God is not writing down everything you do wrong. God is not keeping this file drawer of all of your mistakes. He remembers your sins no more. Hebrews 8:12 says. Hebrews 10:17 says, because the sacrifice was perfect, because there no longer needs to be a sacrifice for sins, it's finished. It's done. There no longer needs to be a sacrifice for sins because it worked. The cross was enough. The cross was effected. God remembers your sins no more. He's forgiven you. He's made you perfectly clean, perfectly forgiven, and perfectly loved by Him. The record of your wrongs have been canceled. That's why over and over in Colossians 1 and Jude 24, all throughout the New Testament, it says that you're blameless. This means nothing and no one can blame you. The enemy will try to blame you. The enemy will try to accuse you. The enemy will try to say you're just a dirty sinner. The enemy will try to say all these sorts of things, but God says you're blameless. He said, I choose to no longer define you by your sins. Instead, you're defined by Christ. He says, I'm no longer counting or holding your sins against you. Instead, I've chosen to forgive you once and for all. God is not progressively forgiving us. God is not progressively cleansing us. We are forever, once and for all, cleansed and forgiven because of what Christ has done for us on the cross and through the resurrection. Isn't that good news? That the record is canceled. Your past may call you impure. Your past may call you dirty. Your past may say so many things, but you are clean. The record is canceled. God is not holding your sins against you. God is not treating you on the basis or on your track record or on anything to do with your sins. God is treating you well because of Jesus. God is not holding those sins over your head. God is not relating to you based on your performance or based on your sins. God is relating to you because of His goodness and His love, and it's never changing and it's never ending and it's forever and it's irrevocable. The record is canceled. You are forgiven.
You've been listening to the Daily Devotional Podcast with Zach Maldonado. Join us each day for a new devotional that will help you know and enjoy Christ. For more great content from Zach, including his books, sermons, and more, check out ZachMaldonado.com.